Hey guys, let's talk about how to travel across New York Metro, New York City to be precise, okay? How to travel around with public transport across New York. Who am I? I'm Patrick Henning. I'm the CEO of Orukka. Orukka is a smart payment ring where you can tap to pay everywhere, okay? But one thing I think was important is one of my customers came to me and went, hey, Patrick, thank you very much. I'm enjoying my ring and I can tap to pay across the train stations. And it hit me. I didn't make it for that. I made it for my friend. So one of my friends came to London to visit me back then, and he got stabbed while in the underground. So he just came out of the underground, was on his phone from the underground, and then someone tried to grab the phone, and he held onto it, and they stabbed him, and then he ran off with his phone and wallet, obviously. So that got me thinking, and I came up with this idea just to make sure we don't rely on our phones and our wallets. I think for this, episode, I want to talk about, payments, okay, how to make payments across New York and how to travel. So New York, I think at the moment has got, there are 8.4 million people in New York. So that's huge. Yeah, that's a lot of people, okay, that walk around. A lot of people to cater for. If 8.4 million people got on the road and drove or got a taxi, it'd be gridlock. It's already a gridlock right now. Imagine then if you have 8.4 million people, that's a lot. So what we had to do was come up with something, and I think you can do it as well. Come up with a list of how to save money by traveling with public transport. Because public transport, basically how you can go around. So let's talk about that. So at the moment, I think you've got a few ways you can go around across New York with public transport. And you've got your subway. Your subway, again, run by the MTA. Everyone knows the MTA across New York. If you're a visitor, I think this is a cool channel. So just go through it. So the subway, we also have the MTA buses as well. So the buses, again, are pretty frequent. You go from A to B. You can also track the movement on that as well. That's handy to go through. There's also, the I think it's called the Staten Island Railway, sir. Okay, that's on. There's also ferries as well. You can go take you from A to B. And then lastly as well, you have the commuter train. So that's important. That takes you towards not just the city, but also the suburb. Again, a lot of the 9 million people actually live and coming from suburbs into New York City. So that's important to have. So again, if you know those public transports that you need, then what we need to do then is find out how to go from A to B. There are 5 ways to pay for public transport. I'm going to start with easy as cash. Okay, so cash, people say cash is king. Okay, obviously I don't agree because we're fintech. But cash is king in the sense that you can easily pay for things without being monitored. So if you don't want to work in the banking system, if you don't want to be tracked, people use cash to pay. And so that's important. But the downside, obviously, with cash, actually, for these are the 5 minutes, I'm going to say the positives and the negatives. So the positives I said is simple. Cash is straightforward, pay, you go. But the downside is you need to have the exact change. So that would mean that if you're going there, you need to make sure you count the exact coins you need. No change on buses. Train tickets, you can't even get train. You buy train tickets with cash, but you can't get change. So you can't go in with the train and say, yeah, I'm going to pay cash to a ticket officer like they used to do in the 90s or in the 80s. Just how it goes. So cash is inconvenient, number one. And number two, security as well. You can't walk around with cash and count it, okay? In fact, if you're going to the metro, I would advise you not to go in there with cash. That's it. When we talk about this as well, I've talked about the start, how to keep up with this as well. So risk across cities is important to me. I'm nervous about that. People should be nervous about what they carry around. So to me, I think cash is not secure. So it takes us to the next step. So the next step is what we call the Omni card. So the Omni card is a new card that's come up in New York. But you need that if you're traveling across New York. If you want to order, get your taxi or get a train, bus, ferry, you can use the Omni card. There used to be a Metro card, but that's been phased out in December this year, actually. Right. So right now, if you have an Omni card, you can use that to travel across. That's really cool, except I think the downside, you need to buy the card. The card itself, I think it's $5. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. It's $5, and then there's a link as well where you can get an automatic reload. So if it runs out of credit, you can also load it again. So that's cool. Also, let's talk about limits as well. So if you can travel, you can travel on the Omni card across buses, trains, tickets, the whole lot, which is cool, especially if you're coming to visit the town, the city, and you don't want the hassle of going around with cash. You can have the Omni card. Cool. And secondly, is if you don't have a bank account, just order the Omni card, and you can use that across the US. Okay, so I recommend that as well slightly. Okay, I'm going to say slightly because obviously you need to keep track of the expenses on that. Secondly, you can't use the cash for anything. So if that was your last $20 and you updated your $20 on your Omni card, that's it. It's gone. Okay, because you can only use it for transport. You can't use it to buy a coffee at all. It's closed loop in the sense that it only works in the transport system and no more. If you're in New York for a day or two and then you want to leave, you have to apply for a refund. Okay. And a refund is not straightforward, I can tell you. So that's a pain. That's a downside of using, the Omni card. The next step from that is actually your card. Okay. So on the turnstiles, you can tap the way you tap your Omni card to get in and out of the turnstiles across New York. You can also tap your cards. Okay. So again, the cards should be this way. So you have your cards and they usually have this symbol here. So that symbol then means you can actually pay contactless. You just tap to pay at its own cell. So tap in and you go in and out. It works across buses, trains, ferries, and every time that starts, which is cool, which I think is one of the coolest things possible. Here's the downside of that. You have to be careful. If you tap this card, okay, and then on the way out, you tap this card, you will be charged. So it has to be the same card you tap in, it's the same card you tap out with, which is a concern. So that's what's called, again, in the banking payments across trains as well, it's called a card clash. Okay, so if you tap into one card, and then you tap out with another card, they don't recognize that. So you're going to be charged twice. That's something to watch out for. Okay, so be careful with the cards, especially. Okay, so that's something to watch out for. The cards. And then the second point then is at least the advantage compared to the Omni card is that if you have $20, you put it on your card, your prepaid card, or your debit card, or your credit card, you can use it outside, inside and outside. Okay, so that's one advantage of using your card, your bank card, your credit card, your debit card. It's going to work across train stations, everywhere. The downside, I think, I mentioned this at the start, is, you're walking around with this. Okay, so let me just open this up here. I've got several cards in here, about 12 cards, 12 card holders here. This used to be cool, but right now it's a risk across New York. If I carry this around, I can tell you I'm not going to get home with these cards. Okay, someone is going to rob. So there's robbery and there's theft. Okay, I just said there about 8 point something million people, right, in New York. At least one of those two people are going to be bad. They're bad people in this world. But what you can do is to protect yourself. And what do you do in that case? Just don't go around with this. Okay, if you do that, there's a risk there. So that's something to watch out for. Go it out with all your cards, put in your pocket. And I can tell you, this look how thick this is. This shows up in my pocket. If it's in your bag, it's the same thing. People know that they grab the bag and go. So that's a risk to watch out for. Theft in a huge city, 8 point something million. It's going to happen. The other point as well is scheming. So card scheming is where someone comes to you and then taps your card with a box. So they have a POS box where they tap and then payment goes through. They could do that and then just take $10, $20 at a time. Okay, that's something to watch out for. So be careful with the card. We wouldn't recommend it as much. And the other way then is also to pay with your phone. Okay, so you can also tap your phone. If you have a digital wallet, okay, or if you have even your card as well, you can have your card in digital form, several cards as well on the one phone. You just have to make sure you're selecting the right phone. So you can go in there, make sure you have the right phone, double click on it, and then you pay. So you can do that with your phone, you can do that with your wallet, you tap to pay. Watch out for card clashes as well, because if you have a bank card on your phone and then you have another bank card here, it's different. So if you tap with the bank card, you have to tap out with the same bank card. If you tap with your phone, you have to tap out with the same phone because the cards are different there. So watch out for that, please. Otherwise, it's seen as two and you'll be charged twice. Again, refunds are a pain when it comes to metro cities. So watch out for that one as well. And so I've talked about cash. I've talked about the Omni card. I've talked about your bank card. And I've also talked about paying by Apple, and your phone or Google or Android. The last point, obviously, is with us. So you can tap to pay as well with our rings. So our rings, again, are straightforward. I can't say it enough in terms of style. If you compare this to your Apple Watch, this is cooler than your Apple Watch. I can tell you, it's cooler than your Apple Watch. So you could tap. So all you do is just go in here, hold it this way, and then you tap to pay wherever you are across New York. Okay. Okay, good. Then we're gonna do leave. So the trains, the buses, the ferries. As long as it has a wireless contact symbol, you could tap to pay wherever you want. So I can't recommend it enough. It's cool, it's straightforward. You don't have to forget your phone. You don't have to actually walk around with this in the undergrounds or on the overground. So you tap to pay wherever you are. And so cool. I'll recommend that. Needless to say, we're a community and we're happy to welcome new people to join us. So order now. I'm going to put the link on the box in terms of Orukka. It's called Orukka, Orukka, Orukka.com. Order yours now, and then you can tap to pay across buses, trains, wherever you're. Have a good one, stay safe, and enjoy New York City. Take care.